Okay, so I don't know what's going on with I don't know what's going on today with this podcast. I keep adding myself to the stage. Hold on just 1 second. I probably have to just take it off. Okay. So this is what we're doing tonight. Because unfortunately, StreamYard is upgrading all of their stuff, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because I've not experienced this before, besides times that I just didn't put myself on the stage. Hi, hi there. It's Wednesday. The first Wednesday in September is your girl Morticia Sherman, the unapologetic therapist, here to talk about everything mental health. I'm talking about mental health in your home, mental health on your job, mental health in just all day, everyday life journey with mental health. So, if you don't know, if you've not ever been on the show before, I am a licensed professional counselor here in the great state of Texas who resides in Houston. I'm a Houstonian. I am out here just unapologetically talking about mental health and why it's so important to make sure that you are mentally healthy in your mental health. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. A lot of times we say, I don't want to see a therapist because then I have to tell them all of my business and I got to sit down and talk about all the things that, what's going on in my life. It's good to talk to a therapist. That's why it's called talk therapy. So, what I want to talk about today is September is National Suicide Prevention Month. Of course, we know October is Mental Health Awareness Month or Mental Health Month. We actually have two, October and in April and May. But September is designated as National Suicide Prevention Month. Reason being, September hits the month where it's close between the summer as well as the holidays, because after you have Labor Day, you generally have October being Halloween month, all all Hollow month. Then you also have November being Thanksgiving, election time, of course. November being Thanksgiving, and then you have December, which December is generally the month where individuals or people are dealing with the impact of life or um, holidays. And then you have January, you have a whole slew of holidays coming around about that time. Of course, you have, like I said, October, you have November, December, January, February. Those 5 months in general impacts um, society and humans in a great form. And a lot of times they don't want to talk about, which is one of the major things that happen, is seasonal affective disorder. And that is where people are going through those seasons of depression and not wanting to talk to anybody. They go into sadness and isolate. So with September being National um, Suicide Prevention Month, we're talking about speaking life, breaking silence, building bridges, and saving souls. That within itself is a great impact when we're talking about suicide preventative month for the month of September. How can I break the silence on life, speaking life into myself, speaking life into those things that are important to me, giving it a ground, giving it fertilization to continue to move forward, speaking life, breaking the silence. Let's break the silence of not wanting to talk about mental health and what is important to us and why mental health is so important when we're talking to individuals such as myself, like when you find a therapist and being honest um, about what you're feeling, like going to the doctor. I know for me, um, when going to the doctor, a lot of times I'm like, I don't really want to tell them what's going on. When how can they help me if I don't tell them what I'm experiencing? How can I be true to myself as being a therapist and I'm telling you to do something and I'm not doing it myself? That is such a fraud facade for anything. But when we're breaking a silence, that means being able to be free to talk about those things um, that are bothering us the most, especially when it comes to mental health. I also talk about the cliche breakers, those cliches that also happen to come across us in our families, those generational patterns, those generational habits that we take upon that our ancestors and our parents and their parents did before, breaking those barriers, um, breaking the silence. Let's talk about those things. Um, I know at times we sit and we're like, I really don't want to have normalized conversations. And I want to be more specific when we talk about mental health and breaking silence and building bridges and saving souls. I want to be able to give you the authorization, I give you the approval to talk about the things that are bothering you the most when we talk about breaking silence. And we can sit there and have a conversation about politics. We can sit there and have a conversation about schools and these things that are transpiring on the news. But can we really sit down and break the silence and the stigma behind mental health and build bridges in communities where we can have open conversation, where we can turn around and save the souls of individuals who otherwise know or feel like there's nobody that wants to hear whatever it is that they have that's going on in their life? We need to be able to have these conversations and be willing to hear the response, hear the feedback. And that's the reason why we started this podcast, is to get the feedback from the community. Why he can't, and I have to give you a breakdown as the viewers, and thank you for viewing and listening in. And I know it's 3 days after, 2 days after Labor Day. And so much has transpired during that Labor Day process. On Monday, everybody was celebrating Labor Day. Either you were at work or you were at home or you were with family and just sitting around and having conversations. Like I said, we can sit around and talk about politics. We can sit around and talk about things that are happening in society today, but we only pick up a conversation about mental health and suicide and things like that only when those things happen. When we need to have these discussions all the time, speaking life, breaking silence about things that are going on in society so we can bridge that gap in the community to let our village know that we're here to support and we're saving souls. I just got, and being a therapist, we get books and magazines and whatnot on things that are going on. And I came across an article that says that 80 individuals that are 85 years old or older are the ones that are committing suicide more frequently. And how so? They're taking their medications or they're overtaking their medications and they're dying ahead of time. Then also there's a large um, thing that's this suicide is just it's that September being suicide prevention month, we need to have the conversation so suicidal rates can decrease because it's high in veterans, it's high in the elderly, it's high in the youth. It's really growing, and it has grown over the past year where people are committing suicide because of conversations generally that we have when we're talking about politics. and the economy going bad and all these other things that is putting fear inside of individuals, and then they don't want to talk because it's like, why would I tell you what I'm going through or what I'm growing through when you're going to judge me? Here on this podcast, here when you're talking to me, the unapologetic therapist, there is a judgment free. This is judgment free territory. And our mission is to eradicate the stigma and a generational behavior patterns that have been going on, that have been plaguing our Black and Brown community for centuries, for centuries. So breaking that generational behavior pattern, reconnecting and bridging the gap for mental health in the community. We're here to accomplish this goal by practicing the purpose of three prong approaches that includes providing cultural concept care, um, as well as increasing mental health literacy and improving cultural awareness of care. Through the building of the right foundation, all parties, the therapist, the client, the community, can work towards common ground and obtaining rapport and community relationships. That's what we do. We've also added on our nonprofit side, which is called Color Me Stigma Free, where we'll be hosting many different events when it comes to mental health and mental health awareness. Now, how do you play the part? Like, share, and subscribe. Add our information, send it to someone who needs to hear, to know that they're not alone. They're never alone, and it's okay to not be okay. So, when we're talking about speaking life, breaking the silence, building bridges, liberating the unspoken, that's how we're breaking the silence. The cost of silence, how stigma, shame, and fear keeps people bound. And this is a true fact. When we listen, when we hear the noise around the stigma, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Just go pray about it. Everybody has problems. You're not the only one. Where here's the thing, where the cost of silence and how stigma, shame, and fear keeps people bound, it does keep you in bondage because of somebody else's lack of understanding of what mental health and mental health disorders really are. Just think, you're talking to someone and you're telling them who are not someone such as myself who's licensed, like myself, LPC or LMSW, or someone who is in the mental health industry or mental health field who's licensed to talk to you. You're talking to your neighbors, you're talking to your friends, not knowing that they're at their breaking point, and trying to figure it out for themselves, but you're telling them your problems and whatnot. And honestly, if they tell you, well, I have a therapist, I think you need to go and see a therapist, it's not throwing shade at you. It's not saying, something's wrong with you. They're saying, hey, there's an opportunity for you to talk to somebody who doesn't have um, any idea, and they can't judge you for what you're going through or what you're growing through, but they can guide you. They can give you a clear direction on how to handle and finding proper coping skills to handle that. The healing power of a testimony and storytelling. What I'm doing right now, and most of the time you'll hear me on this platform, I'll tell you things that I have grown through as being a therapist, and how things have changed in my life, and how I have a therapist, and how I talk to people, and how talk therapy is a great platform for you to be able to sit down and talk about those things that's troubling you the most and get true guidance. When it comes to having those conversations, they're healing power. And then you can turn around and testify about having the right tools. I made this one statement this past weekend. I'm going to revamp this whole thing about the word testimony, because I hear so many people saying, God tested me, and that's how I got a testimony. Well, God doesn't test us. The testimony is called a testimony for a reason, because you actually were able to come through whatever it was that was ailing you, whatever it was that was causing you to be of discomfort or dis-ease, or having some kind of intrusive thoughts. You were able to overcome those things, and then you can tell the person, hey, this is how I overcome this thing that happened with my intrusive thoughts, and how I was able to break free of being in bondage in a certain situation. That's what those were created for. That's why it's called a testimony. And then you can tell somebody the story. Then creating life spaces for vulnerability and telling and truth telling. I when someone says I don't like somebody who lies to me, we've all lied before. There's no one on this earth who has not told a lie. And if you're saying that you are not a liar, you're lying. So with that, you're able to tell your story. I enjoy bringing guests onto the show to talk about their story, to talk about things that are going on and how they're able to get through these things and how they're able to process and what happened in life and how they got to where they were, telling those stories. And the month of October is a celebration month for me because we started in October and we started with some phenomenal stories. We started out with some great guests. I'm going to replay those for October. So, October, just be prepared. You're going to get the stories that we have for October. We're going to celebrate those individuals because they have grown through and gone through a lot. And support, being able to support because they can tell you their testimony and they can tell you their story. They're doing their storytelling by being here on the show. Then, overcoming cultural and generational barriers to speak out loud. Let's begin to speak out loud about those things that, again, that we otherwise only have conversation about when it happens. Let's normalize talking about mental health and mental health awareness. Let's normalize talking about being aware of our surroundings when someone is experiencing psychosis, when somebody is experiencing a mental health moment, is what I would call it. Let's have those conversations. Let's break the silence and talk about those things that we otherwise see on social media. Why do we have to see those things on social media, on the news, before we even have a conversation? Why not sit your kid down? Why not sit a family member down and say, hey, if you're experiencing these things, let's talk about it. And let's be free to talk about those things and not have judgment in our heart for them, and give them the proper guidance and send them to someone who they can be open with and talk to about more. I say I'm on all insurance platforms, to which I am. I'm on all platforms. You're going to see more and more of things that's going to transpire here in society, in the community. I've been doing a lot of posts about mental health on my social media page. You can find me on all social media platforms. It's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. What else? Pretty much all the platforms. And I'm talking about mental health. If it's something that you don't want to talk about, I don't force any conversation or anything like that. I honor and respect the people that do. I honor and respect the people that don't, because you're where you want to be, because that's where you want to be, unapologetically. If you don't want to talk about it, if you want to keep things silent and you don't want to talk about what's going on and what's causing you to have intrusive thoughts, what's causing you to think that you're not good enough, what's causing you to think that life should not be lived, because again, you should not be allowing life to live you. You should be living life. And when you're at that point where you're allowing life to live you, yeah, contact me. Let's talk about that. Let's get you back on track to where you can have those conversations with family and feel okay knowing that you're not okay, but they don't have to know everything that's going on with you at all. You can have a therapist such as myself. You can have a licensed professional counselor. You can have a psychiatrist. Everybody don't have to know your business, but everybody can celebrate you when you know that you're in the right path. And people are watching. People are seeing things that are going on in your life whether you know it or not. They can see when you're up, they can see when you're down, they can see when you're misplaced, displaced, disorganized. And the last thing, don't care about what people say. You don't have to, because sticks and stones do break bones, but words will harm you. So when we talk about that, then building bridges can isolate from isolation to connection. Let's get out of isolation and let's connect more. Let's talk about it. Faith communities are the catalyst of mental health advocacy. If you don't have somewhere to talk to, someone to talk to besides your pastor, if you don't want to talk to your pastor, but your church has a place where you could go and sit down and talk. If you're that type of person and you want to talk to someone in the edifice, you can. Don't just be the one that they say, oh, just go pray about it. No, talk about it too. Talk about it. And what I hear a lot of people say is when I'm able to talk about it and I hear myself talking about it, the resolve is there. The resolution is there. I'm finding the resolution to the problem. Just like when you're sitting down and you're like, what am I going to cook today? Well, I'm going to cook tacos. Well, I know I need taco shells. I know I need tomatoes, lettuce, picante sauce, ground meat, cheese. You need all these things, and you're talking to yourself and you have these ingredients. That's how you're talking therapy. What are the ingredients that you need to continue to live life and not let life live you? What are the ingredients that you need to continue to be the best version of yourself? What are the ingredients that you need to continue to move forward and not let your past determine your future? Your past should not be determining your future. Your past should be things that you can take away to better prepare you for your future. That's what it is. Building the bridges, breaking the silence. So now we're talking about building bridges, partnering up with schools, nonprofit, grassroots leaders. That's what we do here at Why He Can't and Color Me Stigma Free. We're partnering up. We're getting out here. We're getting with schools, nonprofit organizations, grassroots leaders. We're finding artists, poets, doing creative expression to unite diverse voices where there's conflict resolution and reconciliation. We're using those as tools in the community for healing. We are connecting with individuals that want to see you in your wealth, and your wealth is your mental health. But you have to know that. I can sit here all day on a Wednesday from 7 to 8. Like I said, you're getting a 1 hour to ask your questions, to address your concerns. Otherwise, you can text me if you don't want to put it on social media. But I'm here for you to have that conversation. I'm here for you to find the reconciliation, for conflict resolution, to get tools, to find your healing place, to find a safe space for you, and not just you, because your mental health doesn't just affect you, it affects those around you, those in your inner circle, which is your one, your parameter, which is your two, your outer circle, which is your three, and those who just you deal with on a in and out basis, which is your four. So your four levels. We are here to help you process those. Fine. It's almost the end of the year. Like I said, September is the month that they have as National Suicide Prevention Month. So when we talk the language that matters, we're talking about those things when it comes to mental health, saving souls, restoring hope and purpose, integrating faith and mental health is what I stand on because I'm holistic. I'm all about holistic healing. I will address spiritual trauma. I will help you reclaim your spiritual identity. We practice steps for emotional and mental spiritual restoration. I'm out here in the community researching, helping out research outsource as well as reaching out, doing mentorship, advocacy. mobilizing communities. The role that I play in this is I am the sounding board. I am the role for the services that you need, and I purpose in getting you to the place that you want to be. Okay, that is my purpose. That is my mission. Like I said, the mission for why he can't is we're out here eradicating. We're out here challenging these generational behavior patterns. We're out here challenging those. Like I said before, because mom did it, because dad did it, because grandpa did it, because grandma did it, because auntie did it, because uncle did it, because sister and brother did it, don't mean you have to do it. You can change the barrier. You can change the behavior. You can change the process. And you can also, as a parent, teach your children better behavior patterns. You can do that within yourself. So, my call to action for you, from inspiration to activation, how can you as an individual become a destiny helper in our circle? Reach out to us on our social media pages, reach out to us on our website. You can be a volunteer, you can be an advocate, you can source share, you can also create a ripple effect for us. One life, one story, one bridge at a time. Create a ripple effect for us. Like, share, subscribe us, on YouTube. We're on all social media platforms. And when we break that silence and we speak life and we build bridges and we save souls, just one person at a time can change the trajectory of a household. Just one person at a time. But again, like I said, the person hasn't wanted as much as you wanted. It's not just you. So when I get back to the topic of September, September being National Suicide Prevention Month, we are talking this language this month. How can we, as a community, how can we, as an individual, how can we, as a village, stand and break the silence when it comes to suicide? The numbers are growing. The numbers are growing. Why they are growing? Because of individuals not knowing who to talk to and how to talk to. And like I said before, suicide, when somebody wants to commit suicide, they're not going to tell you anything. Suicide ideations, people will tell you if they're having ideations. People will tell you if they're having the thoughts. People will tell you if they're having the intrusive thoughts. But when the time of a person wanting to do that, they're not going to tell you anything. So, how do you know the signs? What are the signs when someone and you notice that they are at that point where they're saying, I don't want to be here anymore? One of the major signs is they will isolate to the max. They will start getting rid of things. They will start selling stuff. They will start saying things like, if I'm not here, you won't miss me. If you don't see me again, you don't care. You don't love me, no way. So why should I care about whether you love me or not? There are different keywords that you would need to listen to when someone is at that point where they want to commit suicide. So let's talk about the conversation. And a lot of people who have been impacted by someone who has either fully committed suicide or attempted to commit suicide, the whole conversation is different compared to someone who has experienced a loved one, friend, or someone close to them who has committed suicide. The conversation is totally different. That's a whole different form of grief compared to someone who has attempted, one who's a cutter, one who has done things, who have done self-harmful things to themselves. They don't want to commit suicide, but they have the idea of what I want to do. And I don't want to be here because I don't feel loved. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel accepted. I'm being picked on. I'm being bullied. So people are truly impacted by suicide. And I'm talking about this topic for the month of September, and I'm just touching on this for right now because I told you what September is. People who are at that point in life and they're saying, I don't want to be here because, again, nobody cares about me. The behavior is different, the signs are different. People who bereave by suicide and those who have survived an attempt are greatly impacted by suicide. The language, the emphasis that a person makes when they're talking about that they don't want to be here anymore or that they want to commit suicide. The difference in the terms, the focus, just looking for those keywords. Today is not a day that I want to be a downer about it, but I'm giving you facts. It's getting close to that time of the year that you need to really start checking on your loved ones. Really start checking on your family, your friends, your foe. Call them, text them, see how they're doing. Stop by. If they don't want you to stop by their house, just drive by and see if everything's okay. See if the yard's been cut. If they're in a house, see if things are disarray around the house, and just tell them, hey, I'm just checking on you. I'm just doing my due diligence because I care. Do it because you care. People really understand when you care rather than when you talk. So, those times when you want them to be safe, you want them to be in a place of a safe space, letting them know it's safe for you to talk to them. And if you suggest or if you refer and let them know, hey, reach out to somebody and talk to someone about mental health and what you're feeling and what you're processing and how you're processing it. And they can help you with some coping skills and they can help you with getting to the next phase. For those who have spoken with me, I talk about grief. And grief happens even when there's suicide. Grief can happen with the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, any phase that there's a loss or a change or a form of adjustment. That is a grievous time. And I said this on a podcast as a guest. We even lose ourselves. And when we try and find ourselves, it can be a grievous time because we're in shock that we were in that phase of life for quite some time, or we're in pain because nobody ever reached out to us to find out what it was that we were growing through. And then we get into the form of denial. I denied the fact that I was even living that way. Using the main two words, there are two things that are so different. When somebody says that I was on autopilot or that what was the other one? That you were just stagnant or that you just didn't know how to move forward. Well, those two things are very different. Autopilot, if you look at the pilot, when they put things on autopilot, it's just really on cruise control in life. You're just cruising through life. And there's a time when you get to your destination, you got to take the cruise control. Even when you're driving, you put yourself on cruise control. The speed limit 65, you put it on cruise control, the roll on 60. Then eventually you're gonna have to slow it down and get yourself back behind the steering wheel. That is cruise control. When you're talking about or being on autopilot, excuse me, being on autopilot, you're just cruising through the whole thing. But when there comes a time in your life where you're just sitting there and you're idle and you're not moving and you're not doing anything, and you just really are just processing, just being in a space, not life, just being in a space, that is where it's okay to reach out and talk to someone and have another voice to be able to help guide you through whatever it is that you're having those intrusive thoughts. The process of how life has changed, how moving from one state to another state has changed your life. Moving from one area of town to another area of town has changed your life. Talking about those things, breaking the silence of how that has affected you, how that has changed you, how that makes you think of life differently. Then you can find a community of people who have been through that same process, and then being able to walk you through that. A lot of, I'm noticing now, we're less community than we were before. What happened to the community? What happened? Tell me the truth. Why is community no longer what it used to be? I need to know. Can somebody help me understand what is going on? Why is community, why is building community is no longer a thing? Why is everybody so into individuality? And this really happened way before COVID. Why are we no longer community? Why are we no longer helping each other get to another place in life and being happy to see somebody win? Why is it that now we are so into, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it for a celebrity. I'll do it for somebody who I don't, that otherwise don't know me any different. Just like here coming in to November, we're getting ready to gear into an election year. Politicians are out there. They're asking you, hey, I need you to help me get into this office. Is it that we have been giving so many lies, so many stories, so many promises that have been empty, to now we don't even trust anymore? Trust is a grievous thing as well, because when trust is broken, you go into shock, you have pain, you're angry, you start bargaining. You start bargaining who you are compared to the person that lied to you. And then sometimes we get into this facade of fake acceptance when trust has been broken. Oh, I'll accept the fact that they did that. But that really hurt you. That really caused you to not want to trust the next person. That really caused you not to want to trust anyone else. And I myself, as the unapologetic therapist, have been through that. When it comes to business, when it comes to affiliation with people, when it comes to talking to people, I've had some people that have broken my trust, but I still say over and over again, I will always, forever and a day, support Black owned businesses as well as other businesses, not just Black owned businesses, but majority of Black owned businesses. Although I have been hurt by many Black business owners, but it wasn't, I don't take it personal. That was just their mindset and where they were at that time. I forgive them, keep moving. If I deal with them, I deal with them. If I don't, if they didn't have what I needed and I know somebody that needed what they have, I'm going to refer. But I'm also going to let myself know that that just wasn't a business for me. Also, often we take things personally, and we shouldn't. So, how do we continue to break the silence? Again, get out there. Let's rebuild the community. Rebuild the trust for people to know that we actually care about them. It shouldn't just be for school drives. It shouldn't just be for toy drives. It shouldn't just be for food. I am seeing so less of community building like before. What is going on, you guys? Unapologetically, what is really going on in the community? Is it, I'm still trying to figure this out. You have the open opportunity, you have all the information. and you have the resources. What is causing us not to want to break silence, not wanting to build bridges, and not wanting to save souls anymore? What is it? September being mental health, suicide prevention month, we're still going to call it mental health awareness month. Let's speak life. Let's get back to the things that matter the most. And that's seeing our communities being built. We have individuals coming inside of certain communities, gentralization, and your girls get tongues out over here. Gentralization is happening too. How is that affecting you? What is going on? What is your mindset towards that? Let's have conversation. September. Don't be quiet this month. Let's speak. Let's speak loudly. Like my website says, we're not whispering about mental health, we're roaring about mental health. And what we're talking about may not be what everybody conversation is, but it happens. Mental health does affect everyone in every family of every color, creed, all of that. Mental health affects us. How do we process it? How do we keep moving forward? How do we get the help that we need? We need to break the silence. How do we continue to keep pressing in? We need to bridge the gap in the communities. What is happening? I am seeing such a decrease in community. I am seeing a decrease in community. And could it be because of the budgets that were cut in the economy? That's when we should speak the loudest. When things are happening in our communities, when things are happening in society, when things are happening culturally, that's when we should be speaking the loudest and bridging gaps, helping individuals who don't otherwise know what's going on, and saving souls. How do you save a soul? Break the silence, bridge the gap. Let's have conversation about mental health awareness. September kicks it off. Just had Labor Day. October is what it is. Everybody want to celebrate Halloween. We didn't bypass everything. We're already having Thanksgiving decorations with the pumpkins. Be thankful. What are you thankful for? Start thinking about the things that you have gratitude for now. Why does it have to wait until November? Then, when it comes to December, January, I gave you the 5 months that everybody starts getting into that same regimen. October, November, December, January, you got New Year's, people wanting to be engaged, people wanting to be um have kids and be pregnant and all this other stuff, and it affects your mental health. Then you have February. February is supposed to be love month. People are not in relationships. They Mental health is impacting a lot of people. But do you want to have the conversation? It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to have these conversations. It's okay to sit down and talk to a professional. And it doesn't have to be long term. It doesn't. It's up to you and that therapist or that licensed social worker or that psychiatrist or that psychologist, the term of how long you want to receive services. Generally, for me, mine starts 3 to 6 months, just like a weight loss plan. I'm helping you to get that weight of mental health, those intrusive thoughts off of you, helping you to release that stress, that anxiety, that overwhelmness that you have allowed life to live on you instead of you living life. I'm here for that. So 3 to 6 months generally. Sometimes it goes longer than that. It's totally up to you and where you are in your walk, in your purpose, and how you're going to get things done mental health wise. Okay. So when we talk about September, it's not a daunting month. It's not. It's a preventative measure to help decrease suicidal attempts, decrease suicidal ideations, decrease suicide attempts and completions. I have been affected so many times about suicide, and I'm a suicide attempt survivor, should I say. But it's not easy. It's not an easy conversation, but it's well worth it when you can sit down and talk to somebody. I even talk about athletes, those who want to be on that road of the NBA or the G League and all this other stuff, and you're working hard and you're in there and you're grinding in this basketball arena and this basketball court, and you're seeing all these NIL things that are happening and all these people getting this money, and you're trying to figure out why you're not there. Just this year, I believe it was, if it is not this year, but this past year, there were students who were committing suicide because they didn't get the NIL agreements that most kids got. Had they been talked to and shown that there's other ways of having a great life, the story probably would have been totally different. My prayers go out to every parent, every individual who has a student athlete who feels like they're in there and they're grinding hard, but they're not getting the highlight and all the accolades that most kids that they feel like, hey, I'm better than them are getting. Love on your children, because money, they say money is the root of evil. It's the love of money. That's the root of evil. We can have money, but it's the love of money. Teach your kids that loving money is not the thing. Going to school, if they go to college, get a degree, get a career that's going to really bring them in that money. Yeah, it may not be millions of dollars like the NBA players are signing up for, or the G League or whatever, but having a sense of security, having a sense of life and understanding that you are more valuable than a dollar that's constantly decreasing and depreciating. The dollar, the American dollar. You hear so much about Bitcoin and all this other stuff because it's challenging the American dollar. My prayers go out to these parents who kids are going off to college just this year or even next year. Check on them, especially if they've never been away from home. Check on them if they've never had an idea of being by themselves and they're off to college. Here's the thing that I have to say, and I say this with a pure and sincere heart. Don't succumb to things that are only temporal in life. We've all had times when we had money and we've lost it, and then we got it again, and then we lose it again. But life is so valuable and so important that there is no need for us to think that a dollar is going to make us even more likable or more impressive. Teach your kids more common sense, because a lot of people don't have it unapologetically. You have people who have more street sense than common sense. You have people who have more book sense than common sense. There should be a healthy balance. So, on that note, let's talk about the things that are going on for the month of September. So, if you love to laugh, because laughter is a great medicine for mental health, make sure you get your ticket. Or if you don't get your ticket at the door, you can pay it at the door, $25 to $30 at the door, September the 20th. It's my big brother, Big Skinny, my sister, Mel with the Details, TT Carson, my brother, Cutting Al, Stacey Anderson. All of them are going to be at the Orleans Bar and Grill. That's off Westlake Houston Parkway. Humble, I'm pretty sure. So get your tickets. They're still available. Make it a packed house. Get in there. Get your laughter on. Laughter is a great medicine for mental health. They can't wait to see you. They can't wait to have you laughing. They can't wait to just be the host of you sitting there laughing so hard till you have nothing but great conversation about that show. Then also in November the 23rd, the week before Thanksgiving, there's a CLTL fashion show, After Dark Cruise. It's a dinner cruise. If you're interested in being a part of that, dinner cruise, if you want to just jump in, see some fashion, see what's going on, I'm sure there's going to be a great show going on. I'm to be on there. I was invited to come on. That's November the 23rd. I'm sure there's tickets still available. If not, contact the number that you see listed on there and they will let you know. The number is 281-594-9597. It's called a fashion cruise. You're going to have dinner one night on that night. Thank you again to our sponsor, NAG Mindful. We're gearing up and joining together to be collaborative on NAG Mindful Therapy. Does children, adolescents, and adults. Then also save the date. That's going to kick off on October the 1st. Be on the lookout for the save the date. January 24th, 2026. Can't Shake Me, Houston's biggest and loudest mental health circle. We're going to do dancing, partying, eating. If you had an opportunity to be a part of the Tonight is Tonight Mental Health Symposium, you know that food was amazing. We're going to have a great time. It's just really just coming out, walking around, seeing vendors, seeing individuals who have what you need when it comes to mental health. I'm hoping we can still do our doctor's walk where you can walk with the doctors and ask questions if you never asked them before. Questions or concerns, you'll have an opportunity to do that on January 24th. Also, we're still gearing up to do For the Love of Basketball and Mental Health. We're going to make sure we push this for February because that's what it's for. It's the love of basketball and mental health. We're going to gear up for that and host that most definitely in February. We're still going to do our Tonight is Tonight Mental Health Symposium. We have some things, some great things that are happening in the community because we're working on bringing the community back. If you have not been to our website, you can go to our website and give donations. Be a soul breaker. Be a destiny helper. Help us get the word out into the community. Like I said, the community has gotten quiet. Why it's gotten quiet? There's so much going on, and everybody's looking at politics and what's happening. Be the voice. Break the silence. Let's bridge. Let's build bridges and save souls. Let's talk about it. Let's have conversations. Stop letting our politicians be the only voice that the people hear. They need to hear from you. They need to know that you are a voice in the community. It shouldn't be community activists. It should not be just politicians, community activists, congressmen, congresswomen, judges, all of this stuff. They are a voice, but if we're all speaking, we can all sing the same song and be the right choir for the right individuals to hear. Mental health is very important. Very, very important. Mental health covers everything every individual has to deal with life. So, September, Suicide Prevention Month. Let's decrease the numbers. Let's decrease the numbers. How? Let's speak life. Let's break the silence. Let's bridge and build bridges. And let's save souls, one soul at a time. Check on your children, check on your grandchildren, check on your loved ones, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, all of that. If you notice your girl has been in the community, I was at Mad Max, Bernie Maxwell's golf tournament and mental health, and I was there. I support him to the fullest, 100%. Um, Vernon knows that he can contact me at any time. I will talk about mental health at all times. Also, anyone who needs me to come and speak about mental health, contact me through my website. That's www.whyhecant.com. Of course, things are going to be changing. I'm no longer speaking for free because, again, I give you an hour on a Wednesday. Also, I have a service that I have to cover. I have people I have to see. I am on um, Headway, I'm on Alma, I'm on Open Path. I'm opening up in some other states that are happening. Like I told you, Louisiana. I'm working through Atlanta. Also, I want to pick like two other more states besides Texas. Oh, Florida. Just that within itself, because mental health is everywhere, and mental health is impacting a lot of people, whether you realize it or not. We need to have conversations, and these conversations needs to be had. So it's your girl Morticia Sherman, the unapologetic therapist. You know my statement: when you know better, you do better, and you respond differently. Because I love you to life. So if ever you want to reach out to me, my number is 346-525-4981, as well as you can reach me out on all my social media platforms. DM me if you have to. If you have any questions, your girl is here. As far as this Wednesday, here it is, September the 3rd, first Wednesday in September. I can't wait to celebrate you for this month because this month is also my birthday month. So until then, it's your girl. Have a good night.